welcome back. We are here for the Between Darkened Mirrors, episode 13. Oh my gosh. So, let's take a look at the hunters to get started. Unfortunately, Bob, the Americans player, will not be here this evening, but, we will hopefully see him for next time, and we will definitely miss him for this. So, Doc will be out and about somewhere for this episode. The Explorer, Lord James Campbell-Hughes. You have one condition, close call with Scotland Yard. Okay. And then Factotum, Whitmore, you have one condition as well, an otherworldly surveillance. Oh boy. And then Victor, you had left over challenge accepted, as well as gaggle of reporters. So you have some conditions to try and clear. In terms of threats, well, yeah, spent a whole night phase, trying to be bandity, trying to be heisty, trying to nab the perpetrator, nab the blackmail gang head. And you kinda did, but you lost out on something pretty valuable at the very end of the evening, which was the St. Petersburg Mirror. So the St. Petersburg Mirror now serves the mastermind, okay? But you still have two threats on the board, Limehouse Lurker and Monochromatic Men of Three Mills Island. For Limehouse Lurker, you have, let's see, where is it? Here we go. So you have already unlocked the next appropriate question. You have decided that the vampire is old. And so to resolve the threat, you have to answer, if it is old, where is the vampire's nest? Complexity 4. Resolve the threat by infiltrating the nest and then destroying the vampire or convincing it to leave London. Okay? For Monochromatic Men of Three Mills Island. So there's several ways two ways to resolve this threat. Who wants to open a portal and why? That's a complexity 6. You would resolve to convince that entity, person, whatever, that the risks outweigh the costs, or by destroying them. Or you can go for a complexity 8, which is how does the ritual work? So you resolve the threat by controlling or stopping the next key component or procedure of the ritual, ruining any further attempt at it until the stars align again 1,000 years from now. Okay? Otherwise, things get a little hairy because, oh boy, we are marking yet another little square. If I can do this. Yeah, another little square in yet another night phase of Monochromatic Men. You are down to one more night phase before things go very wrong for Monochromatic Men of Three Mills Island. Okay? So there is a timer. All right. So, given all that fun, you have we are now in the day phase. But I want to hear previously on to hear what people remember from last time. Victor, it's if you have a thought of where Victor was out and about, maybe still on Three Mills, that's fine. But yeah, let me hear what people remember that happened last time for those that were here in last session.
I really think the last session was really the American really shined in the last session. He kind of just went full on, embracing his curse, and so we got a bunch of Lord James Campbell-Hughes, Whitmore, and Doc. We each had bandit mask to go. We were going to smash and grab Count Orloff, and we each brought a different set of bandit mask, and I can't remember whose we went with. Did we go with Whitmore's? I think we went with Whitmore's.
We did because we ended up dressing up as plumbers.
Yeah. And so we got into this. We got into the Russian embassy. It went south pretty quickly, and then all hell broke loose. And my favorite quote of us trying to get out of there with Count Orloff was Doc asked, because Whitmore had a shotgun, and he asked Whitmore, "Can you shoot people?" And Whitmore said, "That's the plan." As we blazed our way out of there, and took Count Orloff to the night tap and had a conversation with him. That's what I remember.
Yeah, it was the three of us all together storming the Russian embassy. For better or for worse, we saw Whitmore in physical violence and action, and some very terrible Russian accents, if memory serves. Not from Mads, from the rest of us. But yeah, and I believe this session's gonna be about the fallout of Whitmore going against the grain.
And where do we suppose Victor was at for this night phase?
Um, I think as is what happens when two of the great families' legacies are together. It's probably like a special side issue of the show, but like as Victor has his beast, that was the night that Crucius beast came to fight him. So Victor there was like a side adventure where Victor had to help him out resolve a threat for his cousin.
Awesome. Probably not so awesome for him though. Do you think Rosicrucius is still hanging because he feels like he owes you?
I think
I mean, he's still kind of confident that he can help solve
yeah.
the 3 mills, but
I think it's more interesting for him to still be here than not. So yeah, I think he's still here.
yeah, and I'm sure he's going to keep giving you looks about like, you need to deal with my sister. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Alrighty. And yeah, so let's take a look at does anybody want to have any vulnerable scenes, any vulnerable moves in this very beginning of day phase? And Victor, did you want to do your mask of comedy now, or did you want to wait until dusk?
Um, I'll wait till dusk, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and I just a quick question. I think did Victor have time to read what was on the letter? That might help me with my vulnerable seats if I have anything emotionally to resolve from that. Like the letter he was given by Krush. What?
Hold on, give me a second.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
so basically, what the letter said, and Whitmore saw part of it, um, because he wrote both, like his sister's name, like he wrote both Radamintha's name as well as his own name signed on the bottom, in very big bold letters. But he's just like beseeching you to talk to her, write to her, do something before she comes and rampages into London and makes both of your lives hell. So, yeah, that's what she did. That's what he wrote. So I open it up for vulnerable moves. Whomever, well, remember again, as a reminder, a vice has to be in play, and whomever's vice is in play should be the one to frame up the scene. Okay, and that person would be offered the bonus of what to do after the vulnerable move plays off. Okay.
As a note, I think I figured out what the personal quarters TBD item was for Whitmore. I believe it would have been the item from last night from the move Memory is the Servant. For that, given Whitmore's current mental state, a Russian cross necklace from one of the deceased.
Sounds makes perfect sense. So go ahead and put that in your personal quarters.
And remind me, so what exactly happened to Whitmore? That he's like so.
So Whitmore, the famously nonviolent,
Yeah.
in part when the plan went sideways,
Mm-hmm.
and Lord James Campbell-Hughes standing there securing the torture room we found ourselves inadvertently trapped in. Doc had broken out in his curse-induced rage to go after Count Orloff, and Whitmore had to hold the fort down while Lord James Campbell-Hughes secured the room, boarding it up so that people couldn't bust in through the back. And Whitmore ended up killing 3 people, I believe. Which, given his reaction the last time he even came close to killing someone in The King in Shadows, actually killing 3 people is not something that's on Whitmore's radar.
Thank you. I guess my question is there a particular person from the two of us you want to have that scene to like talk about that with? Like one you think would be?
I was actually planning on sending Whitmore away, like having him go off before the crack of dawn alone to try and sort out his feelings, to not show that weakness to Lord James Campbell-Hughes. And it just feels more in line with him of he's the one that takes the brunt of other people's feelings. He doesn't express them necessarily, but I'm more than happy to do vulnerable scenes with anyone who wants to.
Gotcha. Then in that case, yeah, I'll do a vulnerable move scene with Lord Campbell-Hughes then, and and I guess wonder about where Whitmore is during the scene.
Is this gonna be my advice or yours?
Um, I think we did my vice last time, so we can do yours.
Okay.
I mean,
So
maybe Victor stumbles home. Like maybe it's like, it's already early in the morning and the paper
Yeah.
has landed on the doorstep, and so's Victor.
So yeah, Victor gets home. He is covered in um blood. He smells like incense. Um and like some of his clothes are singed.
Lord,
It's like
Lord Campbell Hughes offers
whew.
you like a glass of gin and like a cigar, and said, "Which embassy did you have a tangle with?"
um
Russian.
Avernus.
Say what?
Hmm?
What's that? I'm not
It's
familiar
a
with that,
it's a
Victor.
different kind of embassy. You shouldn't really need to go there very often. But if you have a cousin who had some, let's say, entanglements with a prince of sorts that ended in a very messy way, you have to run errands sometimes there. Um, it was it was fine. The lines weren't as bad as you would think. It's more the gates that really pose an issue.
So, are the cousin? Are we speaking of? Are we talking about Russ Crucis?
Yes, he is that cousin. Oh, cousin. He
Is
could
he
never
still?
yeah.
Is he
Here?
still on? Is he still in the Monochromatic men case?
Yes. He I believe I'm meeting with him later. But yeah, he's he likes to calm down from this sort of thing, but really just going headlong into a very complicated case. And I really want to get back to the vampires and stuff. I don't. There's there's bodies, there are different colors. There's this book in here that I don't want to touch, and it's just not doing it for me right now.
Speaking of cousins, my first cousin
Hmm.
is Earl of Sussex, and
Ooh,
I'm glad
yes.
that we were talking about your cousin because my cousin, the Earl of Sussex, Stephen, he's actually pretty close with Scotland Yard, and I've been having a bit of a run-in with Scotland Yard, especially with me and Doc. So I'm glad you brought up your cousin.
Yeah. And I mean, my my family's dealt with Scotland Yard before, and I believe I can pull some strings. I know you have plenty of strings, but just in case.
If you pull at the wrong string too hard, the whole sweater unravels.
That is true. That is true.
What book do you speak of?
Yes. I think Whitmore showed it to me once, and I was like, nope. It's Whitmore, that book.
No. Whitmore, after last evening's raid upon the Russian embassy, Whitmore, he's having some reflection time upon our actions last night, and I don't think he wants to hear another dark soldier on, Mr. Whitmore speech from me again.
Is he still with us, or?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, very much so.
Oh, he's fine. Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
No, he rose to the challenge and assisted us in capturing this extortion blackmail Russian operative.
Yeah. It's very, very resourceful fellow, that Whitmore. Every day I see him in the morning with making the toast and the breakfast. I'm just like, wow, you keep going, my friend. You keep going. Do you ever wonder if this is too dangerous for him? Do we just drag him along? Is that what we're doing?
Oh no, he knows he knows
He knows?
he knows who our adversaries are.
Yes.
And the cost that
Yeah.
this type of battle can be upon a person's soul.
Yeah, so there's really no issue for us to take him anywhere we really need him to be, is what I assume.
No, he's quite capable.
Perfect. All right. But it's only gonna get worse, is my feeling. Like, we're like we have the Tanya to deal with still, whoever she is. So that's gonna be bad. Like, vampires can just suck your blood by looking at you, and I don't know if he has training to combat that at all.
Well, you might want to take a long last look at your own reflection, Victor, because I believe I'm going to have the general's men remove all mirrors from Hargrave House as a precaution.
Oh, that's fine. Would you like to break them before they get here? It's pretty cathartic.
No, I think we can store them down in the basement. Let's not.
Oh, that's fine. Okay.
Some of them are quite valuable and maybe have arcane properties themselves.
Yes. And Scotland Yard won't be an issue for you, correct? That's also dealt with.
I think it will be, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. And I know I mentioned it, but is it just me? I know she's like this huge threat that London faces, and this city might fall under her feet. But isn't it kind of exciting that Titania's here? It's just me. I feel like it's weird that I think that, but
no, it's not. But no, exciting is not what it's more. And Lord James Campbell-Hughes stops and smokes, puffs on a cigar, and then looks into the smoke. No, it's not exciting. The fact that she's here means there's been a great upheaval in her realm, and she is here in a weakened state. No less a worthy adversary, Victor,
Hmm.
but
Yes.
in her full glory, we wouldn't stand a chance.
All right. And your opinion, because I like to confer with my colleagues. If we have to stop her, are you all right? Just like, how okay are you just like letting London burn if it means Titania goes down with it?
I don't understand the question.
Like, what sacrifices are we allowing for this? Because for this sort of threat, we may
No,
not be able to avoid it.
no, I don't think it'll come to burning down the city. Instead, it'll be more like losing the hearts and soul of the citizens. That's what the structure of
Hmm.
Titania's not concerned about the structure of London. She's from the stuff of dreams, Victor.
I
So
see.
it's a different. The collateral will be different.
Yes. All right. Well, my friend, do you know how to make breakfast?
I've just been eating these crackers.
Okay, I think I can have some of those too.
Can't work without you. Can't work without you, Whitmore. Oh my God. Where do you go, Whitmore, to, I don't know, hide away? Before I get to back to the two at Hargrave House. Just out of curiosity, where do you go?
I was honestly thinking that Whitmore probably wouldn't have returned to Hargrave House after the night tap. And that somehow he'd find himself on a small little chapel on Three Mills Island, trying in the dead of night to investigate, to take his mind off things, and it just not working.
Interesting. All right. Let me go back to Victor and Lord Campbell-Hughes for half a mo. So, was there a vulnerable move in play? There wasn't. Was there gin drunk? I mean, or something? I mean,
Yeah, just gin
okay.
and crackers for breakfast
Oh
is
my
what we had.
God.
Eating
Yeah.
crackers.
Oh, my heart's getting heartburn. All right, great. So, given that it is your vice, Lord Campbell-Hughes, you have the option of either stumbling onto a clue for the threats that are in play, or like a new threat that's coming very soon. Um, you just cannot conclusively answer any question from the threat, or you can invite Victor to ask you a question about your past. Which bonus would you like?
I think I'm going to go with the with a clue for the monochromatic men, so we can try to cinch that up
Okay.
before all hell breaks loose.
Right. Okay. And then let's look at the conditions. Victor, which of your conditions do you think you can release?
Um, I think with uh Lord Campbell-Hughes saying that, like, I think the challenge was exciting to Victor because it's become more abstract. It's not just like a physical, like, we killed Titania. Now it's like she's gonna take over our dreams, and like Victor is just like, I can't, like, that's less exciting of a thing to have to deal with. And now it's like that, and now I have to also deal with my fiance and figure that out. So like it's resolved like mechanically, but like Victor is now more like, I guess, somber, that things are less straightforward with his life.
Oh man, now I want to change my mind again for what I'm planning on doing next. Damn it. No, I'll stick with it. Keep you grounded. All right, great. All right. And then yeah, I mean, do you think that you've released Close Call with Scotland Yard, Lord Campbell-Hughes?
Yeah, I think he's going to start pulling strings with his with all his contacts and family to secure that.
Okay. Alrighty. Cool. Okay. So, so I can say that if Whitmore has like decided not to go back home to Hargrave House and is at Three Mills Island, I mean, like, do you want to say that Victor comes upon him later when he heads back to Three Mills? Or did you want a scene
It
at Three
that
Mills yourself?
that does not matter to me. Either work.
I don't have to do a vulnerable. I think I'm okay with just doing the one.
Okay.
I had a plan of something to do at Hargrave House.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say I have something for that you can be doing at Hargrave for sure.
Oh, if you have
Because
if you have an idea, then like that's fine too.
well, I'm gonna say that yeah, after you two talk and have that very sad breakfast. Oh my God. I think yes, the paper has made its way inside the house, and that ever reliable rag, the Illustrated Police News, has lately been carrying stories about the so-called creature of Cremorne Gardens, sometimes called the creature of Chelsea Harbor, and more rarely the creature of Chain Walk. The creature, described as a fish-like thing, or fishman, has been terrorizing pleasure seekers from the shadows, giving a fright when glimpsed skulking about, but rarely making direct contact. Men and women alike have been lured to the end of a nearby pier by a strange song while promenading, though with no memory of how they got there once the song's spell ended. All of this could easily have been chalked up to hysteria, or perhaps some elaborate hoax by someone who resents Cremorne Gardens, if not for a physical attack upon a young couple, Simon Piedmont and Beulah Thrum. Mr. Piedmont and Miss Thrum described how the creature leapt at them from a crouched position, like a cat, and tore at Miss Thrum's coat. Scotland Yard is investigating. So, this would have been more likely for the American, but no, I think this is actually like more appropriate for the American, just because of the way the nature of the job works. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and say that your opportunity for right now is answering the question: is the creature real or a hoax? Complexity 4. Answering this will unlock the next appropriate question. So is the creature real or is it a hoax? And there is a mask associated with this threat. The Mask of Revelry. Okay? So you have that to call upon. And just taking a look, let me just take a look here. Looks like for the remaining threats on the board as well, you have the Mask of the Sun, which hasn't been used yet, nor the Mask of Dim Carcosa from Three Mills Island. Okay, so that is something you may want to consider just in case. Yeah. Okay. And I'll open this up. Half a mo. So yeah, Cremorne Gardens is it's a pleasure garden. So there's events, kind of like a mini fair kind of thing that can happen. But there's also the promenade walk. There's also like a hedge maze. There's a banqueting hall, and then the American Bowling Saloon, which would be very interesting to our wonderful American to take a look at once he comes back to Hargrave House. Okay? So, 3 threats on the board again. Yay! What would people like to do for the day phase?
Don't believe that Whitmore plans on leaving Three Mills Island until
Okay.
this one is solved.
Okay. Fair.
Victor currently has a gaggle of reporters with him,
Mm-hmm.
and Victor doesn't want to get close to the weird book in Hargrave House, but some reporters might.
So, does that mean you're going to introduce them to the book, saying
Yeah.
it's okay?
Just like, I mean, it's true. Like, if this is part of the case that they should know as the reporters. I was honest with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna bring him into Hargrave House then?
Mm-hmm.
They followed you home. All right. They're probably looking a little singed and disheveled as well because they just had to get close to this whole story thing. And it's like they're kind of discussing amongst themselves about how this, at the very least, even if this doesn't make the papers because it's too outrageous, then at least we can write our own, like, series, our yellow series, and then, like, put it out just like Dickens. And they're just kind of, like, nodding at each other, like, just excitedly and then scribbling in their notebooks as kind of burnt on the edges as they are. Yeah. So, I got Whitmore over at 3 Mills Island. And then I've got Victor still at Hargrave House, introducing the reporters who probably either slept on the stoop or if you were welcoming them, then probably like went into like one of the salons or something like that at Hargrave. Okay. And then what is Lord James Campbell-Hughes doing?
Predictably, he's going to go to the Royal Explorers Club and meet with someone that we haven't had a chance to meet with yet. And I put her name in the chat, Lady Cressida Bachelor Howes.
Ooh.
And her expertise is antiquities, ancient things. And so unless Victor's using it with the reporters, I'm going to take the Almanac of Hades. Were you going to show that to them?
Yeah, we can show it to them real fast.
Or if not,
I mean,
I'm sure she knows all about it. So I can just, I'll just, I'm going to ask her about it, and then and get at least one more clue about the monochromatic men, hopefully from her. And then since our vampire is an ancient vampire, she may be able to give us some information on that as well. So I'm gonna go talk to her about those two different ancient things, since that's her area of expertise.
Victor, did you want a scene with the reporters in the book?
I think that was my primary idea. Yes.
Okay.
Just like showcasing the book in the room.
Okay. So, all right. Let me see. Let's head over to Whitmore for half a mo because I mean, you guys had your scene at Hargrave, and then we'll like make the round. So give me a second. I'm gonna write. Let's see, Whitmore, Victor, and then Lord Campbell-Hughes. Okay. So Whitmore, you find yourself. Your wandering feet, I guess, made you head up to 3 Mills. What do you think that you would have looked at here? I think you would have seen the mortuary. You would have noticed the mills for definite sure, because that is even in the twilight, nearing dawn, as you come out of the night tap. I think when you get to 3 Mills, I think you'll realize that even the silhouette looks very, very sinister of the mills. So, where do you decide to go here?
I think Whitmore would head to the scene of where one of the bodies was found. I believe someone's already taken a look at the first one, so perhaps the second body was found, or if there's already a third by the time he gets there.
The first body was actually, or excuse me, two. The second body was found in the river, her body red like blood. And her brother, Joshua Cross, is a mill worker. Maybe you run into him And he is kind of staring up at the mills as you approach. He's stubble-faced, very tired eyes. And you look upon him, and for however or whatever is going on, you notice that he has red flesh from his fingertips all the way up to his elbows. And he just looks very plaintively up at the mills. He's standing there.
Whitmore would take the sight in, look over his shoulder, think about turning away from a person this evening to just be alone. And shake his head once and think better of being completely alone right now. Think down to the blood on his own hands, and head to Joshua, clearly making the sounds of someone coming, not attempting to sneak up on him. It's a lot of blood you got there. Feel like I've got the same amount on my hands.
And he kind of turns to you, and his eyes are tired and possibly bloodshot. But he kind of like gives you a sad smile and says, "No, no, no. Sometimes we have to work on dangerous things. You see, you can see even my own hands and arms for that. But then something happens to her, my sister, and her body just washed up in the river. What's the world coming to? You know how I found out about her?
No, I don't. How'd you find out?
The penny paper. The penny paper of all horrible places. They wrote it up like one of those menacing stories of the Monday Eve. And just, they called her what did they call her? The sanguine sister of Joshua Cross.
Well, Mr. Cross,
Elizabeth.
Sa-
Elizabeth was her name.
Well, Mr. Cross, it sounds to me that the papers weren't describing how she looked when she died, but more so how she acted in life. The sanguines, the angels. It's where we get that color from. From somewhere up there, Whitmore would say, gesturing with a probably somewhat bloodied hand up to the sky. I'm sure that she's looking down, and at this moment he's not talking about Elizabeth, he's talking about some nameless Russians. And they don't care that they're dead. They simply want to know that the people they left behind, that you, he says, not talking about Joshua, despite pointing at him, are alive and will continue to live. And though I never met Elizabeth in life, I'm sure that that's what she'd want. For you to continue to live, not to stand here at your place of work and he'd check the exploding pocket watch for the time, realize it's too dark to read it. Think about pushing the little knob on the side to turn the light on and realize that's not what it does. Put the exploding pocket watch back. At this unholy hour in the morning.
I haven't been back to the mills since a body was recovered from the river. You just see the evidence of I guess my life's work in my skin. But she didn't deserve to go like that.
Never do. But it's not about what you deserve. It's about what you get. And sometimes that's all you can ask for. It's what you get.
You're a stranger here. Why you be walking these lanes and streets at this time of the burgeoning dawn?
I made a mistake this evening. A mistake that cost 3 men their lives in order to try and save someone that and the word the letter L kind of starts to fall off of his tongue before he catches it, holding that word in his mouth, not letting it come out, before saying care for. To protect someone that I cared for. Care for still. And I don't think I'm strong enough to face them after what I've done. I am not the person they turn to at the moment. I have done something horrible, and they would forgive me in a heartbeat. They would praise me for what I've done for them, but it's not about them right now. It's about me, if I can forgive me. And I don't think that I can right now.
That's how I feel. I mean, the burden is heavy no matter what I think is going on. I couldn't be there for her.
No.
She just disappeared and then was dead.
Joshua, I got an idea. I know a bar. It's not a good one. A friend of mine likes it. Would you care to join me for a drink and you can tell me about Elizabeth? And if he's willing, I'd like to take him to the Dog and Whistle Tavern, Doc's favorite place.
Sure.
Oh no, not the Dog and Whistle, the Hare Chasing Hound. That's the name of the tavern. We've got too many taverns saved in the locations tab.
We know what everybody else wants to focus on. Sure, absolutely. But I mean, as you get there, I think, Doc's usual friend is there at the piano, dispensing booze from its, from its body. And, we'll kind of like do a nod at you. And then, kind of pass a drink down that I believe is definitely yours, and you were only there the once, so you're not sure how he remembers, but he did, and you got it. And I think he'll actually pull out some kind of random jar or something like that, and then throw it, or like slide it down to Joshua. And even in this dim light, you can see how red his his fingers and hands and forearms are. Would you like to make some information in terms of observing him or talking to him?
Moment.
Or even
think-
just
I
taking
think-
in whatever the hell's here at
Yeah.
the hair chasing hound?
I think that Whitmore would let Joshua just, ramble's the wrong word, vent,
Sure.
just dump, and just ask a couple of prodding questions here and there. But Whitmore would listen to someone he's never met before and try and make sense of it.
Go ahead and roll information move, please, with presence. I'm gonna say, like, maybe your soothing, comforting demeanor is letting him loosen his lips, along with the strange booze that he's been passed.
It's not Whitmore's night,
Oh
is
boy.
it?
What is it?
Despite a +2 in presence, that is a 5.
Wowza. Okay. Yeah. I think as you are trying to be this comforting presence and you're trying to ask, your pointed questions, your prompting questions, I think you feel a clap on your shoulder, and then coming round on your other side is like a familiar voice. It's like, "Oh, Mr. Whitmore, isn't it? What are you be doing here, yeah? Having a drink, yes?" And you look into the familiar face and the shock of bright red hair of Puck. Okay. And then let's go over to Victor. Victor, you are there with the gaggle of reporters over the house, and you are showing them this book. What are you specifically saying to them?
All right, everyone. I made a promise as an Armstrong to let you know information about the case we are facing. And I know we've been through this many times the previous night, but again, I cannot guarantee your safety. I am not here to protect you. I'm just here to show you around. Is that still fine? So it's still understood?
They all nod at each other and go, "Yes, yes, yes. I mean, of course, of course, of course. I mean, we're here to get the scoop. We need
Yes.
to know."
Yes. Wait a second. Did Jonathan make it back with us? Or is he just not here right now? I think there was more of you last time. I don't remember.
I mean, if there was, I mean, it was not one of us.
Okay.
It's usually the three of us. We're usually quite close.
Okay. So
We're not related in any way. Not at all.
All right.
We're just very friendly. We always trade stories. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I guess maybe he's gone. Maybe we all forgot about him. Happens. So here is what was it? The Encyclopedia of Hades, I believe is what it is. There is the colorful people of the islands. There apparently this book has connections to it. There's like I think like a prophecy tied to it, and he like shows them the book. I don't get what the big deal is. It's a book. If you would like to look closer, that's up to you.
Did you set this to
Hmm?
today's date?
No, I did not. It's pretty strange, right?
What is this place?
Hmm?
This is.
This Hargrave House. We it's a place where people meet to deal with threats
Oh,
that
no, no. Don't you. I mean,
huh?
it's just. This library looks bigger than what it is from the other side. And this is where one of the reporters will duck their head outside, look at the dimensions, and then come back into the room. This is a lot taller.
Don't do that often. If you're not used to this sort of thing, you will get nauseous.
Oh, okay.
Yes. All
This
right.
book is horrid.
Did you read it? Did anything happen when you read it?
I can't look away. There's something about it. And the big guy will literally
Yeah.
clutch the smaller fella and then just Francis, don't look, and he will cover the other guy, the little guy's eyes.
Okay.
Don't look. It's just too horrible.
Mm-hmm.
This has to do with the case.
Maybe. I just wanted you all seem like a sharp lot. I just wanted to see your take on it.
We are. Absolutely.
Yes.
But even this gives me the
That's what
willies.
I said. I don't like being here. But
Do we have to stay? I mean, can we get more information elsewhere? I mean, I think I'd rather be burned by that little dragon again.
hey, before we go, I really just wanted to ask you all. Do any of you have husbands, wives, significant others in any way?
Well, and the big guy's just like kind of putting his hands behind his back and just kind of like doing that toe, whatever on the ground. Well, I was gonna ask my girlfriend if she would marry me, but
Yeah.
I don't know when that's gonna happen. I haven't decided yet. It's coming. It's coming. And the other two are just kind of like, you should do it real soon. Yes, absolutely. You should do it real soon. Before, well, what do you mean? Before? What? What does that mean?
Oh, is he? What?
Well, I mean, she's been waiting quite a while. I mean, they have been out together for several years.
Oh.
And he has not said anything.
Victor just plops into a chair in the library. So my fiance, she's like really mad at me, and I just don't know what to do. It's
You asked her to marry you? How did that go?
it went fine. I ceremonially, because she was just a ward of the family, she wasn't actually part of the family. I ceremonially fought her surrogate father, and he accepted that I would take her hand in marriage, and the whole thing. It was fine.
My girlfriend's mother would thrash me if we had to fight.
Yeah. Because you see, right now I'm in this place, right? I am terribly afraid of seeing her again after how I left it.
What do you
Some
mean
would say I
left
ran
it?
away. Some would say that.
Why did you run away? You're going to get married.
I said some would say that. But I'm also terribly afraid of losing her forever. Like, both are just bad.
They're
And I
all
just-
sitting down in a semicircle around you, and they're all leaning in and going, "You need to go back."
Yeah. You need to go back. If she doesn't know, she's going to be quite hurt, and she might even break off the engagement. Do you want that to
know.
happen?
Ah, you know what's the fucked up part? You know what's the fucked up thing? There's a part of me that, because I really can't go into details, it's very complicated. There's a part of me that thinks it might be easier, if that were to happen.
Easier to have her break it off?
Maybe.
Is that
I
what
don't
you
know.
want?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe you weren't that much in love.
No, it's not. I I wouldn't have proposed if I didn't know, you know? It's just
Yep.
the situation we are in. I don't know how much you know about the great families and the expectations put upon us.
Sounds like we have a better book on our hands than these tales, boys.
But the thing is, this I get, and or kind of get at least, and Victor will take a closer look at the Almanac of Hyades. But I just don't know about how to deal with what's the really long name again, Mads? It's Ruda
Radamintha.
Radamintha. Um but just I don't know how to deal with Minty at this point. And I feel like at this point, just putting myself in these kinds of situations can help me, at least for a time, clear my head. Look, like
You
here,
can't run away forever. She needs to know.
I
You should be talking to your girlfriend then.
And now they're just...
yeah.
Would you like to try to find a clue in this place, or would
Yeah,
you
I
just like
think
to
I
leave
think
it
I
to
think I think Victor, as they're like talking to him, trying to talking him down, I think this calms Victor enough down for him to actually like take a I don't think he will like read the book, but
Mhm.
he will take out the vial of preserved Saint's Fingers bone on a chain, and kind
Okay.
of just like um he looks at everyone. It's like, hey, check this out. Here's my theory, right? Everyone, this book probably magic, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He pulls out the chain. This chain, this finger bone, it's a saint. There's a saint's finger bone in here.
They all go, ooh.
Yeah. Which saint? I'm not really sure, but I'm sure it's a saint of some sort. Um, and Victor will begin to like kind of just pendulum it over the book to see if it if his idea is like if this book is like demonic in any way, it shouldn't like such a strong religious item to be near it, or if nothing happens, it's probably some sort of other supernatural creature.
Please roll information with sensitivity, please.
Alrighty. And with advantage for the vial of finger bone on a
Yep.
chain.
Please do.
Okay. Good. For the advantage didn't super help with that, but I have good sensitivity, so that's an 8.
Okay, great. Let me give you your clue. Let's see, just making sure that I don't give you the same one. I did that before. I'm just like, oh no. I think as you're doing this, I think you've laid the book out as it was. I mean, like they were all like not willing to touch it. They were just kind of like looking and trying not to see it, but then they couldn't look away. But then, they're all very fearful. And they're watching you and they're watching the book. And then as this pendulum goes above the book, I think it starts spinning wildly, and then the book pages start flipping on their own until it gets to a 2-page spread of a star chart with unrecognizable constellations. That doesn't look like, says the big guy blinking. That doesn't look familiar at all, but those look like constellations, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they look like other animals. Like not even the ones that we recognize. Like you don't see was it the water bearer up there? You don't see the fish. You see, oh, what is this? It's like a 6-legged cat or something. It's weird. I don't
But
know. This doesn't look very familiar at all.
do you all think flowers would be the best thing to bring? Do you think it's chocolates? Like what? She's gonna be here at some point. I just want to be prepared.
The tall, thin woman will look at you squarely and say,
Does she like those things?
I don't. You're right. I don't. It's really difficult to get the things she likes. It's very specific. There's like a certain mountain you have to fight like a basilisk, but I don't have those on hand. All right.
She seems like a lot of work.
She is, but it feels kind of worth it, you know?
we're gonna
Yeah.
move the scene because I'm gonna give you the complication when we get back. Give me a second. Okay. Lord Campbell-Hughes, before we take our break. Lord Campbell-Hughes, you are at the Royal Explorers Club, and you are talking with Lady Cressida. Give me a second. Lady Cressida Bachelor House. Antiquities and the Ancient World. Yes, I mean, you have the description in your playbook. Tell me what she looks like.
He has a wild hairdo. She has a very like dramatic effect, and she has an accent that is unrecognizable. She's a former explorer, much like Lord James Campbell-Hughes, but now she is the current chair of antiquities at the Department of chair of the Antiquities Department at the University of London. And her expertise is anything related to antiquities or the ancient world. And she can hopefully provide us some information on 2 of these threats we're working on.
Now, did you want 2 clues for one threat or 1 clue each on what was it?
1 clue each on the one, because now that we know that the vampire is an ancient vampire, perfect. That's right up her alley.
Upper Well's house, yeah.
And then
Okay.
since this book is this Almanac of Hades, it's got to have showed up sometime in the historic record before, and so
Okay. Yeah, I
that's
think
what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like times that a small childlike creature of the night sucks the blood of mortals. Is there like a documented case of this foul beast amongst us? And the other is this Book of Hades. We have one at Hargrave House, and I'll tell you what I got with talking with Victor is I remember that the Almanac of Hades, that a book merchant requested to make a copy. I can't remember when, but they made a copy of the Book of Hades, since there's not a lot of these around. That's the clue that I added to the list.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, great. All right. Wonderful. Let me see. I think her hairdo is of a sort as if a wind has blown in and her hair just stuck that way. Like it's in poofy swirls and curls that seem to like jut from her head. And then she has these teensy weensy little pince nez, like off of her nose.
And she just looks over your copy of the Almanac of the Hiatus, is it?
Oh, I didn't bring it. I didn't bring it with me. We're having it analyzed back at Hargrave House.
Oh, okay. It's easier to have the actual object to be able to peruse, Lord
What-
Campbell-Hughes.
What I'm hoping is that you can find, or that you have access to, the books showing up throughout history.
Ah, that is true, that is true. You did say that there was a book dealer that, Now, did you witness the book dealer take it away and make a handwritten copy himself? Or was it something that you heard third hand, of course?
No, he came by Hargrave House and
Ah.
for several weeks to make we wouldn't let him take it out of Hargrave House. It never left the library.
Wise. Very, very wise. Goodness. Yes. This sounds quite familiar, actually. I think...
Let me look. And what she wears, almost as contrast to her wild ass hair, is like very close, a very close dress that just seems to be like a stiff column, like of ruffles and frills and just going straight down. So like you get the impression that she looks like a potted plant, a moving potted plant. Okay. So as she's looking around her office here, she's like, looking through her books and her manuscripts and such.
Well, here. There's quite a few of these things that give a description of this almanac that you describe. And one of the things that seems to be in the almanac itself, even though it doesn't say the specifics of its origin, and this keeps happening when I look through these references, is that it is a manuscript discussing the scientific discoveries among the stars. Possibly otherworldly or extraterrestrial, if I dare say. So, that is a description of the almanac in various forms throughout history. That book dealer must have known what he was looking at. I'd be a little worried if I were you. Not that I believe this hocus pocus of this, star reading necessarily, but there is this prophecy that seems to be lauded about in this descriptions. I'd be a little worried about that if I believe
that's my default. My default is being quite a bit worried. As a matter of fact, Lady Cressida.
Okay. All right. Oh, and then you had the other thing that you wanted me to look into. What was
It's
the
a
other
child. A child throughout history who is actually a beast hidden in the frame of a small child.
frame of a small child?
Like maybe when they were younger, they were inflicted with vampirism, and it.
You are so. That is so funny. Oh my goodness! Really, Lord Campbell-Hughes? Really? The scientific, but there was some discovery of the possibility of someone not necessarily growing into a full adult, but yet they retained their intelligence and were able to become adults in their mind. It was their body, their physical form that was unable to just experience growth and adolescence and all that. I mean, there was documented evidence of people like staying in childlike forms or child sizes, but yet they were full adults by the time that they reached that actual age. A vampire. You're so funny. And she'll actually come up to you because she was one of the ones that had flirted with you in the very beginning of our game. So she comes up to you and kind of gets rather close and like kind of like pats her hand on your chest. But I'm sorry, you wanted to know if of this documented evidence of the child adults, yes? Let me see. This is interesting. Well, that's odd. Now, this is a contextual clue as opposed to, like, what she actually finds. Now, that is very odd. What is going on here? She's looking among her shelves. And she pauses as she runs her hands across the shelving and the books, and you see that her hand stops and pauses in front of a very significant opening, empty spot on her shelves, and she comments, "Well, that's quite odd. What is... My Sumerian texts about the ancient civilization seems to be missing. That's odd. I don't remember giving that to anyone, or even allowing anyone to take it. What is the meaning of this?" And then she goes out to the hallway, and then she'll yell at, like, maybe one or two of the servants. "Why is my book out of place? Why is it not in its proper spot in my library? I need it back. There's some significant research about that particular civilization, and I need to be able to look that up because there is some sort of display over at the British Museum. Goodness. I'm so sorry. I hope I have helped at least a little bit about the Almanac, but yes, this Sumerian texts being missing is a little bit bothersome for me. I don't think I'll be able to help you much more today.
I can assist you, Lady Cressida. I must implore you to take the Royal Explorers Club continuing education program a little more seriously. Sir Anthony has a great workshop on the creatures of the night every other Thursday. Check the calendar. You need to attend these and take them a little more seriously, or other very valuable text. Your work could be in danger. Dark forces are aligning against us, Lady Cressida.
Well, they're welcome to having some sort of, like, tie or education about the ancient Sumerians, but my goodness, why? Why steal from my own collection? This is ridiculous.
I'll see if I can recover it for you.
That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, Lord Campbell-Hughes. And, please, have fun searching out for your vampires. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't see any kind of die rolls or anything like that associated with, so I just gave you the 2 clues. So,
no, yeah, they're just. I think this, from a game mechanics standpoint, I think it gives the explorer like some longevity because he didn't really have to roll. Like the explorer can just go and get all these clues from the REC and not have to roll.
Right. Unless he does something risky or something like that. Day or night move, right? Okay. So, yeah, you have your 2 clues, 1 for each. And we're going to go ahead and take a slight break. We're going to take 5 minutes, and then we're going to continue on with day phase, going back to Whitmore, because I got to deal with this 5, and seeing if you want to possibly change that outcome with a mask. Whitmore. So, yeah. Puck's smiling face is looking down at you. his smile seemingly of way too many teeth. And he kind of sits down with his own glass of grog that he seems to have pulled out from nowhere. Because you see Doc's friend reaching into the piano for something and then realizing that he doesn't have anything because Puck already has it. And he's taking a gigantic swig of it, something that looks rather poisonous. And he's taking a swig and kind of wiping his mouth. Mr. Whitmore, what are you doing here, lad? Who's your friend?
Ah, Robin Longfellow, long time no see. I apologize for what I'm about to do in advance. But Lord James Campbell-Hughes sends his regards, and Whitmore would punch him squarely in the teeth.
I was gonna get you in so much trouble. Jesus.
Well,
Because
you were already on like on a
Yeah.
5. I'm going to say that he's going to be knocked down to the floor and everybody's just like, what the fuck? And then he's just gonna kind of like rub his jaw. It's like, oh, well, I was going to be a little more civil than that. But you leave me no choice. And he pulls out like from his lapel like something that looks like a tiny silver whistle, and he blows on it, and then instantly like you are surrounded by several constables, and then I'm gonna say that D.I. Pettigrew comes strolling in and saying, Mr. Whitmore, yes? And he kind of like does that rub of his mustache. Does Lord James Campbell-Hughes know that you're here? And what's with this blood man? Has it something to do with the ruckus that we were called in to investigate at the Russian embassy last night?
D.I. Pettigrew. This man here and I were commiserating the death of his sister. You may have read about it in the paper. Elizabeth Cross.
One of the people of different colors that were found dead, I mean.
Yes. Joshua here was a mill worker. You can imagine that that's where the blood comes from. And I have been consoling with him.
Really?
About the death of his beloved sister. Isn't that right, Joshua?
And he kind of like huddles into his cups, like not willing to say anything in front of the cops. And then Puck is bringing himself up off of the floor and saying, well, be that as it may, Mr. Whitmore, I mean, there's evidence to the contrary that you were not just consoling your new friend here all night. You were one of the ones that was raiding the Russian embassy. And D.I. Pettigrew just kind of nods and goes, yes. Puck here has been kind enough to show us some of the details that list, or I should say, show that you and some companions were conducting this raid on the embassy and causing havoc and destruction, possible murder. The ambassadors are not going to appreciate this. And he gets closer to you, Whitmore, and says, and to make sure that
there are no international incidents, we might have to make an example of someone. If you get my meaning. And this is where the constables will close in, like a pincer movement. You can run with that for your 5, or you can put on a mask.
I think it's putting on a mask. I just really wanted to punch Puck in the face. It felt so cathartic.
Okay.
Does anyone given that we are at least going to attempt the monochromatic men of Three Mills Island
Sure.
at the night phase, may I put on the mask of Din Carcosa?
Ooh, yes. Yes, absolutely. Let me bring it up. That means everybody gets to do it. Fun. Let me see. So, Monochromatic Man, Mask of Dim Carcosa. Each hunter narrates a scene in which, gazing at the stars, they witness something horrible and otherworldly. Think on that. You can do that at dusk or wait all the way to dawn, depending on how you want to interpret that, okay? Each hunter narrates a scene at which, gazing at the stars, they witness something horrible and otherworldly. Carcosa. So that brings your total back up to 7 to 9. Mask of Dim Carcosa. Okay, and I will give you a clue in a sec. See. Let's make sure that I'm not going to give you the same clues as already been done. Let's see. So you were talking and looking around as you were comforting Joshua. Okay. I think as you're sitting there and murmuring kind words to Joshua, and I guess trying to sink your sorrows and guilt into your cups, I think there's a street urchin that comes in, you know, doing his thing, maybe making wisecracks with some of the regulars here. Like, they know him and it's fine. But what is of interest to you is when he starts to go around to the people that he knows. And, like, you know, he's like, you know, they're tousling his hair and they're being all kidding with him and everything. But he's looking agitated because he's saying to them, each one of them, he's telling each one of them, I saw a woman. She's all bones. I'm not kidding. She wasn't dead. She was like a walking skeleton. She just bones. No skin. None of the insides, no blood, no nothing. It was just of bones walking around. How did I know it was a female? There was rags, okay? Maybe there was like a dress or something, but it's like hair, long hair clinging to her head, to her skull. And that's what he says to each of the people that he knows. And that's the clue. A street urchin claims to have seen a woman, all of bones. Okay? Moving along. Victor. Yes, you are commiserating with all of these guys. Yeah, you do the pendulum trick, and it gives you the book of Hyades, like, you know, flipping to the star chart of unrecognizable constellations. And I think at this moment, I think you will see that actually, you know what, should I do this like with the sensitivity? Yeah, I should. Never mind. I was gonna do something completely like campy, but I don't want to at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see is as the bones in your pendulum charm are kind of directing the pendulum to the book. The book opens up. I think you'll see in your charm itself, I think you will see that the bone or bones are moving. That's why the pendulum is moving so
Ooh.
fast. And literally, as you are watching this happen, and the bones are like chittering inside the vial, and like almost trying to break out,
Yeah.
the pendulum swings out of your hand and then does crash on the floor, and then the vial breaks. You will no longer be able to call upon that item at all,
Okay.
though it is lost.
All right.
Okay. And moving along. Sorry. Lord Campbell-Hughes, where do you go from here after talking with excuse me, Lady Cressida? Or do you look around her office?
Good question. I think I'm gonna go back to Hargrave House.
Okay.
And see if Victor or the reporters, if they found anything interesting about this, about the Book of Hyades, and see if we can start preparing for however it is we're going to deal with that. If we're going to do that tonight, so
Okay.
I think I'll spend the rest of the day phase with the book, and if Victor's there and the reporters, and then prepping whatever we might need to help like resolve this case.
Okay. I think as you're making your way back to Hargrave House, and you are you in the carriage or are you walking?
I always take a carriage.
Okay. I think as you are making your way back on the carriage, to Hargrave House, and you're doing the usual thing of like looking at the passerby and such, you will see near the alleyway where you had originally been accosted, or you accosted someone that looked like Titania. I think near that alley, you will see a street urchin calling for alms. Alms, alms, sir. My leg is broke. Need some alms. Please, please. And looking very pathetic. But as he's extending his hand out, you see that the hand is very, very blue.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I'm gonna say, as we are nearing like the end of the evening, end of our evening, I'm gonna say we can shift into an answer the question and into dusk phase. What do you think? Do you have enough to work with for either Monochromatic Men or Limehouse? What do you want to do?
I think we've got enough for Monochromatic Men. Well,
Okay.
I think we have enough for both, but Monochromatic Men is the pressing issue.
The pressing
Mhm.
issue, yes. So we can float right into dusk phase, if that's okay. Yeah. So making a note here. Ask for quickening roll. And Lord James Campbell-Hughes, is there anything else you wanted to... Did you want to activate Herod, General Herod, and grabbing a thing from his cache, or do you have any spots left to do so?
Yeah, I do, but I'm not going to.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to check. And then Whitmore, you have something for the dusk?
Yes.
Okay.
His day work, as a
Okay.
reminder, you spend most days, caring for Hargrave House, tidying up, managing accounts, answering callers. Each dusk phase, choose to either learn something interesting about an active threat. I ask you a question, you answer truthfully or in the form of a clue, Or I find something of use in the house, say what it is, and give it to another hunter. They add it to their personal quarters.
What would you like to do?
A question for the group if we would like a 10th clue for Monochromatic Men of Three Mills Isle. Otherwise, getting a clue for the creature of Cremery Gardens, as I think personal quarters are starting to fill up.
That just means more opportunities to use items for advantage or to cancel out disadvantage. So anyway, what would you guys like to do? Would you like a clue? And just tell me for what?
I'm down for a clue for monochromatic men because a +2 is always feels a lot better to me than like a +1.
Okay, sure. That
Yeah.
is fine. Let me go
In
ahead
that case,
and... excuse me.
the question for Mads about
Mhm.
monochromatic men.
Okay.
How is Joshua doing? Is he gonna be okay?
I think he's going to be okay. He's going to be still grieving, of course. But what is odd, and again, this is contextual, you see you see that he's trying to hide, I mean, especially underneath the dye that has been staining his skin for however long. You notice, like, up his sleeve that he's been trying to roll down, that there's an actual hint of a tattoo of a constellation in his on his arm, excuse me. And what's weird about this is that this constellation is one of the ones that was seen in the book. And that is your last clue. Okay. So, let's get through all of the dusk stuff first. Paint the scene. Let's see, which one do we want to do for today? The gardens. Being in this space is like being totally disconnected from the stink and grime of London. Is that reassuring to you, or does it make you feel uncomfortable? And why? You can put your answers in the rooms at Hargrave House, but again, you're answering as your character. Are the gardens of Hargrave House reassuring to you, or does it make you feel uncomfortable? And why?
I guess given that I'm unmuted already, the gardens of Hargrave House are reassuring to Whitmore. It's a breath of fresh air in the middle of chaos. Most importantly, because he's got a small flower garden that he maintains in the corner. It's just a small little patio with some raised pots. But the important thing to him is that they're visible from the kitchen window. And so, as he's working away, preparing things in that kitchen, he can see his own handiwork lighting up the garden. So the garden itself reassures Whitmore.
It is unsettling for Victor because there are certain plants and flowers in the garden that, to a untrained eye, just be normal flowers and stuff, but for someone in Victor's profession, he knows that there must have been someone in Hargrave House who used this sort of thing. but there's like if you mix the flowers with the right chemicals in the right way, they make really potent poisons. And it just reminds Victor of he had a grandmother who was the oldest person he knew who continued to fight monsters. And she was the oldest because she could fight them even without like as much physical ability, because she used poisons to make up for it. It was unsettling because the way her um the things she hunted died was it just wasn't pleasant to look. It wasn't like a clean kill. Like bulbous things would grow on them. They would take a while to really pass away. And they just remind them of the times Victor had to follow her and how rough some of the ways they have to deal with monsters is.
I'm going to say unsettling, and then here's why for Lord James Campbell-Hughes. The back wall probably of the gardens were originally these like ornamental shrubberies and things like that that are supposed to be like maintained and pruned and all that. But we and our predecessors have just let them go, and so they're not trees and or shrubbery that have now become trees that are like native to the London area. They're from all over, purple plums and ginkgo and things like that. So, but now that they're overgrown and they have kind of this exotic look to them, it reminds Lord James of the forest in the Fey realm, the wild forest and the things that would prowl in the forest and ambush his team with Talon and Fang. It makes him a little nervous, and so he never goes back to the far side of the garden at Hargrave House.
Sure. Thank you. So, before I ask you what you plan on doing during the upcoming night phase, let's hear what you think is happening with Three Mills Island. Okay, so let's go over the clues. You have 10 clues. I'm assuming you're doing the 8 complexity. How does the ritual work? All right, so you gotta control or stop the next key component or procedure of the ritual, so ruining the attempt until the stars align 1,000 years from now. So mess up the ritual and nothing bad will happen, or at least not more than already has happened. Your 10 clues are an ancient text detailing the sacrifice of 2 solid green human figures and 1 solid red human figure by a 4th hooded figure. A victim's monochromatic body with an unusual dimpled pattern on their back. Doc was followed by a handful of monochromatic red birds. Green blood pooling in unnatural shapes. A bit of newspaper rag on the monochromatic men with a handwritten note saying, next purple, then 3 orange, then bone. And then a book dealer made a handwritten copy of the Almanac of the Hyades. A star chart with unrecognizable constellations was found. A manuscript discussing scientific discoveries among the stars. A street urchin claiming to have seen a woman of all of bones. And Joshua Cross hiding a tattoo of a constellation. Who's got a theory?
I have like parts of an idea. Like, I don't know. I guess we can decide who's doing it. It could be like there's like a cult angle to this, or there could be like the villain of the lady with bones, because we have those 2 bone clues. That could be like we can decide who's doing it. But with all the colors and that keeps popping up, I feel like in a very abstract way, the ritual that's happening is like almost like creating like a painting maybe, and then like that painting of like of the constellation and completing the painting of the constellation. using like the birds and the bodies and all that stuff. So it's like a very macabre kind of way. Something like that was my idea.
That's kind of cool.
I like that a lot. Perhaps someone, I don't know why this popped in my head, but running with it, perhaps someone's commissioning a painter to come out to Three Mills Island each night to paint the island in these with these monochromatic figures. And those are the figures that appear dead each day. And we stop the ritual by taking the artist's paintbrush.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily know how we work clues into that, other than
but he could just, unless there's a magic paintbrush, he could just
magic paintbrush.
get another one. But what could be missing when the manuscript was copied, the book dealer, when he copied the manuscript, he did not copy the unrecognizable constellations that Victor found, the star chart. So the star chart could be the missing, like who's going to make that, right? Who's going to be able to replicate that? So if the star chart is the missing piece and we have that, then we just have to figure out how the thing works and burn the star chart or something like that, and then it denies them the access to that. I love the painting idea though. That's really cool.
Nice. Yeah.
It wasn't Mads, didn't you mention at one point there was a tavern or a food stall of some kind on the island?
I'm trying to remember if it was like, was this the one that that Melody took you to, or is this the one that, like, just out of whatever reporters and Rosicrucius?
There might have been like a paint the scene where they said there was like a food place on the island where like one of the mills had like food in it or something. Maybe in the painted scene we had before.
That sounds very familiar. My thought is, what if the painting in question is on the back wall of this tavern, and we come to it, we see that there are in this painting red birds flying through the background.
Yeah.
We see that there are newspapers.
Yes, I see.
Strewn throughout this food stall.
So all of
start to mark off the clues that you're using.
So basically what's happening is that there's this like arcane, like occult painting that's being made, right? To bring in whatever it becomes the portal. And most of these things are just like byproducts of it. It's like it's bleeding from the painting, right? Like the paint is bleeding or whatever. So the painting is creating all the color stuff. Green, like where's the birds one, right?
Yeah, so the bright red birds in the background of the painting. As the painting itself bleeds green blood.
Yeah. I think
with the dimpled patterns on Victim's back could be a different form of the painting in a Dadaist style.
Yeah.
The painting type where you tap a bunch of dots to make the colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe the painting is also like infiltrating like word. That's why next purple, then 3 orange, then bone. It's like any form of like media really will get infiltrated by the painting.
So basically you're saying it's kind of like a color meme.
Like it's
a mimetic thing where it's like, it's gonna be bleeding into not only causing real life, like the deaths of these people that are in the painting, but also like just being mentioned is starting to infiltrate or insinuate itself into
I mean, given that Joshua is, who's worked at the mills, probably eaten there, the tattoo of the constellation probably isn't one he got himself. It was
Mhm.
one that the painting placed upon him.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So it's
And
a
I,
So, yeah,
predictive painting.
yeah, and I think the rest of the clues is just like the last piece. Like the last part of the painting that hasn't been finished yet is the night sky in it, probably. Like the final constellation
For the
is what needs to be completed.
How
for
are you
the
going
for
to
the
stop
for the
them from
woman
doing that?
for the woman who's all bones, she could be like her skin color is like translucent. So
Mm.
Mm.
she's got skin
ooh,
and stuff like that, but instead of turning all blue or all purple or red,
it
she,
became
What
clear.
what if she's the fourth hooded figure?
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that.
and the
But yeah,
bones.
they need the star chart to finish up the sky.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, in yeah, and then if we've got, so we know that the person who found the book probably made the painting, was confused as to why it did not work, and had to come back to Hargrave House to figure out what he'd missed or what they had missed.
Hmm.
Okay, so you guys are going to be
Uh,
thwarting this person, or these the
I
or
think we're just. I
is the
think we're
painting
just.
alive? Am I asking if
I
like the
think,
paint?
I think we're
yeah.
destroying the painting.
Yeah, I think
I
maybe
think
it's
we're step.
like the painting is like a weird like Cthulhu like entity, right? And this person is like it's trying to get this person is the one that's like it's using to finish itself even. Maybe.
Are,
Like the painting is the villain.
Okay,
so
so
are we stepping into the painting to try
That'd
and
be
destroy it from
or are
within?
you trying to prevent the painting or its representative from getting the star chart to complete itself?
That's the angle I was going.
Yeah,
Like
that too.
Mhm.
if the missing piece is the star chart, well then sorry.
Yeah.
It's
We're gonna
almost like you
And
have to do a two-pronged thing then, because I
We
mean
could
then you
definitely
have to
do a two-prong thing.
because you have to protect the copy at Hargrave House,
mhm.
which has the star chart in it. But then
Yeah.
you also have to do something about the painting, like you have to disrupt it in some way. How are
Yeah.
you planning on destroying this if the Almanac of
That's true.
Hyades is so fucking creepy that you may not even be able to burn it? You know what I mean? It's like one of those like weird ass books that's
Yeah,
gonna come back.
and probably the timer is just like that's how close they are to finding the star chart. And because we waited this long, it's like they're at our
They're gonna be on
door.
your doorstep.
So,
I'm gonna say they're gonna be on your
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
doorstep.
the simple. Oh, go ahead,
I was gonna
Daniel.
say based on the resolve the threat by controlling or stopping the next key component, that's all we have to do. It's a one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get rid of the component, whether we break their magic paintbrush
Yeah.
or eat the star chart,
Yeah.
then that's it.
Yeah.
Please
Probably
do
then
not eat the unholy
yeah,
book.
then probably the stakes is like if the painting isn't finished, it just becomes this unstable thing of magic. And that like it's still bad. We have to get rid of the painting because it's still
You're gonna have to do two
So,
prongs. Like it's gonna be like
so,
somebody
so,
protecting the almanac from somebody getting the star chart, or the painting from getting the star chart, and then you also have to be at the painting to thwart whatever it's planning
yeah,
on doing. Because I'm gonna say, like, my thought is that
Mhm.
if this painting completes itself, it is opening up a whole can of, like, occult
Yeah.
whoop ass all over you guys. So you're gonna have to stop it. I mean, like, it's alive. This painting wants to exist, and it wants to be a portal to whatever the hell it's going to be a portal to, and bring in a whole bunch of shit. So yeah, that's why you have to stop it.
Okay.
so
So if
I
that's the
think
plan, then, like, we can kind of like work that out as a, what are you guys doing for the night phase? I think. I mean, it's the are the operatives of what's his face still active? Like, what were you specifically asking them to protect Hargrave House from, Lord Campbell-Hughes?
The Fae, they're up against they're trying to keep the Fae from and regular people like Puck from getting in.
But what if someone else is sent in under the power of the painting
Mhm.
that you didn't know was under the power of the painting and coming in to get that star chart for it to be completed?
Oh, I see. Yeah. It's like we figure out that it's the star chart, right? We're like, oh, easy. We burn it. We're done for the night. Let's
If you
have
can
him,
burn it. I mean, that
right?
may depending on how you roll. That's the next
Yeah.
part of this business.
But
Depending
like,
on how you roll.
but we I guess like depending on how we roll, we figure it out right as they're like close to getting it. I guess is the stakes then, right? Probably, maybe.
Well, let's put it this way. It's going to be complicated because, they're going to have a chance to get at Star Chart.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's going to be complicated because it's going to be
Gotcha.
somebody that you didn't suspect was going to be under the control of the
Mm.
painting, trying to get the Star Chart from you.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Speaking out of character, I mean, like, characters obviously don't know any of this. It's just like,
Yeah.
trying to
That's the
figure this
feel.
out. Like,
Yeah.
they're on the watch for suspicious looking individuals, but maybe the person that comes in or whatever isn't suspicious at all.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, I mean, are we happy with this? And did you?
Yeah.
I hope somebody wrote this down in the resolution square.
I'll write it. I'll write it down.
Okay,
because,
worst
yeah.
comes to worst, we'll rewatch this part of the
Yeah.
episode and then write it
So,
down.
so I mean, so the resolution is at least one person stays behind at Hargrave House, and at
Mhm.
least one person goes to 3 Mill Island.
Yeah.
One to protect the remaining scrap that we've got, and one to
Mhm.
destroy the painting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stop the painting from mimetically like completing itself and turning into a hell portal or whatever
Mhm.
portal.
Yeah.
That sounds about right if I got the pitch correctly. So
Yeah.
the important part is now who rolls.
I can roll. I think I had an idea.
Okay.
Which two dice do I roll?
A good 2.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. 5 and a 1. That's an 8 with a +2.
Okay. That is an 8. So, complication. Let me write this down. Complication for night phase. This is going to be fun. Okay. All right. So, given that, is that the plan? Like who's going where? I mean, obviously we'll ask Doc like when Doc returns, but what do you three plan on doing for night phase?
I don't mind being on Hargrave House defense since I have those guys there
True.
protecting against the Fae.
Yep.
Like I can help. I can get those guys to help with some defenses. Like, but the actual defenses of Hargrave House from the general are like magical in nature, to keep Fae out. And if this is some cult, it's not going to stop them. But those guys, if they have guns, they
Yeah,
work,
of course. Guns
silver
work on
bullets will
anyone.
hurt a
Yeah.
silver bullet will hurt a normal person as well as a werewolf. So I
Who
don't mind
knows?
doing that.
Okay.
And
Yeah. Go ahead.
Whitmore's probably gonna go to the painting.
And I guess is this, do we have when all of us are back together, would you all like to also, we don't have to do it now because we're getting kind of like, would you also like to resolve Limehouse Lurker and answer that question when Bob is back, so like we can have like we can take out 2 in one night?
Well, I mean, like if you're gonna do it, like you want to solve it now, if you have enough, and then you'll be able to resolve it in night phase. I mean, it's gonna go too fast because there's too much shit to do, and it's gonna go too fast
Yeah.
for you to answer a question before, like within night phase. So you need to, if you're going to decide to do it, or at
Yeah.
least leave that option open, like you want to resolve it now. Like answer the question and then you can resolve it whenever.
Yeah.
So do you have enough? That's the question. So
we've
4 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, you could
Yeah.
conceivably, if you can incorporate all this, then yeah, you can roll with a +2 on this. So if old, where's its nest, right? Ancient vampires must also feed on other vampires as well as mortals to satiate their bloodlust. A pool of half-coagulated blood in a dark subterranean place. Thick swarms of bats over a corner of building. A painted mural depicting the sons of another world. A Bible, the pages telling the story of Noah and the Ark have been ripped out, and a missing book about an ancient Sumerian civilization.
So, I think I've got something if you'll let me run with it. I think we already determined that the lair itself is underneath the Limehouse school, which had the painting from another depicting a world with another sun, or depicting sons of another world in it. We know that this vampire is ancient. What say that the vampire was actually one of the people alive in the times of Noah? And the vampire itself is the reason that the flood began. And the vampire does not like this, and so has ripped those pages from the Bible. The missing book on ancient Sumerian civilization is to remind the vampire of their home. The vampire is, in fact, that ancient.
Okay, so we're saying they got the Sumerian book to remind them of where they came from. Noah's Ark, okay. Sons of Another World. Coagulated blood, I guess, is like your indication of the thick subterranean place, yeah?
Yes.
We could say the blood, the half coagulated blood is where the child vampire turns people into vampires and then drains them and kills their vampire
And
prodigy.
immediately drains them.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
why
pretty
the blood
cool.
is like half coagulated because it's
Oh, wow.
vampire blood.
Oh, it's
Nice.
yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
go ahead
that's
and plop
fun.
that in there. Yeah, go ahead and check it off.
And then the thick swarm of bats is just normal bats that the vampire uses to hide their own movements in London.
Oh,
So the bats are just themselves ordinary
Yeah.
bats, except
A
for
decoy.
one. There's
Yeah,
one
and-
bad bat.
Yeah, we can say that, like, I forgot where we saw these particular bats, but we can see that they also show up at we already say the orphanage is the place we're saying the.
It was in the alley.
by
When-
Limehouse.
By
School.
Limehouse.
Okay, then yeah,
when
perfect.
Doc and
Yeah.
when Doc and I were, and we encountered the vampire right after that.
Nice.
Probably caught it like in mid return. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so who wants to roll?
Unfortunately, I think it's me because I suggested this nonsense.
It's all good. Plus 2.
Yes, I've switched dice from the last set.
Okay.
Yes, that is going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Woo! All right, you are correct. Okay, so you're gonna. Okay, so I ask now again. Is anybody going to be trying to take care of the Limehouse Lurker at night phase next time?
I don't want to speak for Doc, but he that might be something that he want to do on his own.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. All right. Good Doc. Limehouse Lurker. Okay.
We can check with him. I don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that as a question mark, and then we'll write this in.
And I imagine he'd like punching a vampire by himself.
Sure, absolutely. And Victor, what were you planning on working on?
God, Krush would hate it if he missed an opportunity to fight a painting. That's really seems like his thing, and I have to be there to supervise, I guess.
Okay. Well, it is complicated because it's an 8, so I can't wait to see what happens. God, I'm so excited. You have no idea. Okay, so given this, let's see what the Risk of Dusk phase should be. If you want, you can do a quick Janus mask. Anybody wants to do like one Janus mask before we end? And I'm just going to pick out an unseen while you're doing that, or we can push it off to Dawn. So Victor owes Mask of Comedy as well as Mask of Dim Carcosa, and everybody owes Mask of Dim Carcosa. Yeah, sounds about right.
Can apologize. I haven't had time to really think about my masks with like the new job and everything. So if I
No,
could just wait till dawn.
Absolutely, that's
All
fine.
right.
That's why we have multiple things. I just don't want to leave it for like two
No,
more
no.
sessions.
By next, yeah, I will. For sure.
Yeah. That'd be great. Okay, so and then the unseen. Let me go pick one real quick. All right. Let's see. So we got three individuals dealing with 3 mills in some way, and then possible Limehouse Lurker stuff going on. So let's see. We can have people take in a show. A night at the Grand Guignol. This is on line 21, last one, in columns IJ. A night at the Grand Guignol, the laboratory of hallucinations. Every class of people in London is represented in the audience at the Theatre Grand Guignol. They have come to watch a production of the Laboratory of Hallucinations, a story of revenge. And so, paint the scene as everybody. Give me a second. So, second prompt is going to be Jeremy. Third prompt is going to be Daniel. And last prompt is going to be Paul. Okay. Alrighty. Excitement. So if you have time, real quick, let's do some stars and wishes before we completely end for this evening. And then pushing everything off to night phase at dawn. So excited. Oh my gosh.
I've got some stars and wishes.
Okay.
The star for Victor being disappointed in the non-action oriented doom of London. Oh, it's just gonna be in dreams, eh? And also Victor telling the reporters to stop like trying to figure out Hargrave House or they're just gonna get nauseous. I like that. Just a star for Whitmore, his angst over the assault on the Russian embassy. Poor Puck almost got the brunt of that. Mads, I have some stars here for one. Hey, a big one for the keeper is saving that establishing question for Grimoire Garden for the American. It really is such a good establishing question. That's like almost fit for the American. So that a star for that. The 3 reporters, and I'm sure some other folks are gonna say something about a star for the 3 reporters, but I wanted to get in there. And then your description of based on the flimsy, just a couple phrases for Lady Cressida, you really brought Lady Cressida to life with a much fuller description. So big star there.
Wishes?
I'm really hoping. I was following this hurricane. It was plowing right towards Florida, and I was thinking it's coming right towards Florida, and then it just made a hard right. And now it's like I'm right in the center of the hurricane. It's going to be here Saturday, so I just wish that I still have power.
Okay.
Our next week when we play.
Okay.
As someone from Florida, I hope you also do. It can get rough out there. But yeah, I'm talking now, so I guess I can do mine. Stars for everyone for just letting me slot back in. It sucks to miss one of these sessions because if you miss one, it's kind of like a month until you play with everyone again. Basically, it's good to be back. Star to Daniel. Because like it's like the opposite of like talking to like Whitmore or Doc, where like when you talk to them, it's like a very grounding experience. But whenever you talk to Lord Campbell-Hughes, it's like everything just feels so big. We're gonna do big things. We're gonna save the city, and it's not like overwhelming, but like it reminds you of like the scope we play in a lot of the times, and it's really cool. Start to Whitmore. I have to watch that episode just to know what leads to Whitmore, like starting to punch people, because that's a big character development. And yeah, um, I am really bad at times of playing my characters when they're like going through shit, and that was played really well. Jeremy, just like I can be like, I'm sorry, bud, that you had to kill someone. If I was there, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have let you. Like, I wish I was there to help. Can't believe Whitmore had to be the one to kill those three people. That's literally my job. Um, and Star the Mads, yeah, I love a good librarian character. Thanks for doing the little glasses pull down. That was super fun. When you play that character. Um, and yeah, switching between like playing a ensemble NPC is always hard and fun to see. Just like you can tell that in the show they're always like right next to each other at any point in time, right? And that's fun. And as much as like Mads, you always say like, "Oh, thanks for always like going along with my bullshit." I say the same to you. Thanks for going along with my bullshit, because like, I do like stuff that's not the most betweeny all the time, and you're just like, yeah, that's fine. It's betweeny enough to where it's all right, and you can follow along, which is good and fun. And wishes for next time, um, yeah, just a lot of like wishes for just like seeing Cremorne Gardens, because it's one of my favorite threats, because it's the closest I feel to Scooby Doo the Between ever gets. And it's my favorite. I mean, we could still play. Depending on how we want to play, it could still go pretty like dark and very Penny Dreadful. It's fine, but it's also like, I'm like, when I first read it, I was like, oh, it's the Scooby Doo mystery. This is good. Which is really fun. And wish it also, yeah, I think my wish is just like, it's not really a wish, but like looking forward to like when Victor, like how Mads plays Victor's fiance, because that really will like inform me what the relationship is like, is like, because we kind of have an idea, but until Mads puts them in a scene, I don't know what the exact chemistry is until then. So yeah, that's it for me.
Not to quote Paul, but a star for Mads for putting up with my bullshit this evening. It was it was Whitmore. It was me attempting to get Whitmore into a place that he wouldn't otherwise be, and thank you for going along with that. And until you suggested using a mask, I genuinely did not think about that. So thank you for cheerleading for the group, because otherwise Whitmore would have been in jail. Another star for Mads for your input in the painting discussion of the threat, or of answering that question. It helped things click. Massive gold stars to Paul and Daniel. Please do not watch this recording during your vulnerable moment, because I am cackling like a moron. It was beautiful to watch. I think I lost it a couple of times in just your back and forth, bouncing between different conversation points, covering everything that I think your characters wanted to, between the fear of the unknown and the fear of London police force. Why am I blanking on that word? But the fear of just everything controlling it, and the mentions of Whitmore made me smile. So thank you guys. It was beautiful. I wasn't originally going to wish to know how we're going to fit a talking dog into the Between, but your hyping up of this next threat makes me wonder how we're going to get a talking dog into the Between. We don't need a talking dog. It's just how this is going to be a Scooby-Doo-esque mystery. And I'm very excited to see how that comes into play.
Just so many little moments, and I should have written them down, but of course, me taking notes on everything else except for all the fun, the fun stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, it was so much fun. Like when you guys start giving suggestions about NPCs, I mean, like I really love running with them, and there's just something about this group that just makes it very, very easy to do so, and just makes it like amazing fun. And Paul, star for you, because I mean, like, we've played together in other things before, but I mean, like, you just have this innate talent to do yes and it's great. I love it. That's definitely bursting stars from me to you, because it's like, we're just continuing on with the line, whose line is it anyway? It's like that's kind of what we're doing in the between. And as for Creature of Cremorne Gardens, yes, I mean it is a very Scooby-Doo type of thing, so it can go either way. It can be played either real seriously, or it can be played like, oh, let's tear off the mask. Who is it this time? Oh no, it's another insurance agent. Okay, great. I don't think there is one in that mystery, but there you go. I mean, I can include one if we want. But yeah, I mean, I love this game because of the input that happens with the theorize, with answering the question, and just like all the different ideas that can occur. Even if it seems like it's the same outcome, it's all different in how you get there, and that's what I love about, um, uh, you know, when you guys come up with theories. Daniel, when you did the thing with Victor, I mean with Paul, and then like you both were going back and forth. I mean it was almost like watching a ping pong match, because it's like you're going into one thing and then another thing and then coming back to the other thing and then just back and forth, and it was just really funny to watch. I was right there with you, Jeremy. Like I was just like I was dying for some of this stuff and making lots of faces. So no worries on that score. And then your Jeremy going into trying to talk to people and like be their comfort, even if like you're speaking about yourself, like doing that two-level conversation or that two-level commiseration was just very interesting and fun to watch and listen to. So stars for that. And I know there's more, like besides the ones that you guys have already mentioned. Just some of these things, these moments that just kind of like come up and they make great sense. And I can't wait to hear the masks, because the masks are usually wonderful. Yeah, so this night phase is going to be delicious fun for me, because not only do you have the 10 for the Limehouse Lurker, so we'll see how that gets resolved, if it gets resolved next night phase, but we also have the complication on 3 Mills, which I'm looking very much forward to piling on. Wishes. Yeah, so piling on for next session in the night phase, and then seeing what you guys do with it, and if when Doc comes back, it's like, if he deals with Limehouse Lurker, or it's going to be, all 4 of you like tackling the painting. I think that is such a unique idea of the solution for monochromatic men. I love it. I love it so much. I'm like, can't wait to make it complicated. Was there anything else? Did I forget anything? Did I need to mention anything else before we finish for the evening? Okay. So given that, again, the reminder is, Victor, you have a Mask of Comedy to do, and everybody does the Mask of Dim Carcosa, and then I will give the establishing question for Doc once things calm the hell down, for Cremorne Gardens, and then you guys can investigate that. Okay? So you guys have a wonderful couple of weeks before we commence again, and happy gaming if I don't see you for something else in the interim. Okay? So you guys have a wonderful night, wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye!